All right. Are we live here? Is this thing on? Please unmute. Live. We're good. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on this Thursday, this spring Thursday. For those that are new here, my name is Robert O'Keefe, the creator and founder of Over 55 NJ. Many of you are members of our Facebook group. If you're not, we invite you to join. You can go to over55nj.group, start networking, start having conversations with us, but also other members of the community. We feel knowledge is power. So the more we connect and network with each other, the better everyone is served. So today we have a very special topic today, as always. We actually get a lot of our topics from you, the consumer and the customer. We have a lot of stories and case studies to go with it. That's one of the benefits of specializing in this niche is we have a ton of experience and a ton of stories. So you can kind of piggyback all this knowledge and just make sure you're making the best educated decision for yourself. And even if you're not ready just to start doing things right now, you can really start to get a lot of ideas when it comes to planning your relocation because, like we always say, these moves can be pretty complicated. They don't happen overnight. So you definitely want to make sure that you have all the right decisions and you're thinking about these things ahead of time. So we always invite you to reach out ahead of time to consult with us in advance. You can go send us a direct message. That's probably the easiest. You can email us at over55nj@gmail.com. And one of my favorite places to get started is to go to our website at over55nj.com or .homes, whatever one you want to go to. And you could start saving listings, getting some ideas, and start downloading some of our guides. But we encourage you to reach out early and often so we can start planning these conversations together. These webinars are great. We're going to give you a ton of ideas here, but a location plan is very specific and user specific. That's what makes it interesting and fun. And every situation is different. So there's a lot of value in starting to plan ahead and starting to have these conversations, even if you're not just ready yet. So today, this is one of my favorite questions I get because we actually handle both. We help people lease out their properties. We also help people sell their properties. And sometimes folks will have a property and they don't know whether to lease it or to sell it. So we're going to give you some things to think about here because the answer is not always to sell it, believe it or not. We recommend that in a lot of cases, but sometimes you might do very well leasing it. And, it really just depends on your situation, the pros and cons of your situation. So we're going to give you some ideas here and some key takeaways. But as always, we invite you to reach out to us and feel free to do so anytime. So that being said, if you have any questions, just feel free to jot them down in the chat. And we'll just go into reason number one. So we'll give you 3 reasons and 3 things to consider while making this decision. The first being, of course, your financial goals and cash flow needs. So selling is a really great thing. It may provide immediate access to equity. That's huge. Some of our customers have hundreds of thousands of dollars of equity that they need for assisted care living, that they just need in general. And sometimes they want to travel and do other things. So this is hard-earned equity just from holding over the years. And a lot of times our customers really enjoy just cashing out and just seeing that big pile of cash in the bank, which is always a good feeling. So the immediate access to equity is always a great thing and a compelling reason to sell. There's the reduced monthly expenses. So that's another thing. If you sell and downsize, you'll be surprised at how lower your monthly bills would be. And not just your monthly bills by eliminating your mortgage, but your utility bills too. You'll be surprised. All these bills add up, especially with inflation over the years. Landscaping, electricity, all these bills are much higher. And if you go to a downsized solution just by liquidating and getting rid of your home, they're going to eliminate all of them. We'll talk about some bills later on in the presentation when you're a landlord and what to expect there. But by selling, you could just eliminate all these. And then, of course, there's the more financial flexibility that goes into what we were saying, just having access to your capital and equity. Pro tip is to compare the realistic net rental income against the benefits of unlocking your equity now. So it really depends on your situation. Not everyone is cut out to be a landlord. We work with a lot of first-time landlords, and it's very much sometimes like running a small business where a lot of people aren't apt to do that, especially as they head into their later years in life. But we can give you some guides and just some guidance on how to lease the property and do our best to set you up for success there. I was talking to another real estate agent. We were working on a property together, and he's over 55. He bought a property a couple years ago in Alderbrook, which is a senior living community in Little Silver, and he's still living, believe it or not, in his primary residence, and he just never moved into his house yet. And the reason is he just kind of did the math. He believes his house is going up 9, 10% every year, and as he rents his unit here in Alderbrook, it cash flows. So he doesn't really have a pressing need to get into that house yet. And this is a good example of an individual that might do well just renting his house rather than just liquidating. Now, important caveat there, he is in the real estate business. He has a lot of experience with this. We can help you get up to speed on that. But this is an example of just someone that's doing very well renting his house where he doesn't have to rush to downsize. But you can see the value too of planning ahead here. He has the asset ahead of time. If something tragically happens to him, he can kind of pivot. And as long as his lease is on a month-to-month basis, he can move into his new 55 plus community. But it just shows the value of planning ahead and just keeping your options open in advance. And that's the cool thing about renting your house. Even if you buy a house, buy a 55 plus community, buy a smaller downside solution, you do have that flexibility to rent it where you don't have to move in right away in some cases. So you really want to look at your financial goals and lifestyle. If your house is going up in value, which he believes it is, you may consider staying. But of course, if you need access to your equity and capital, those are compelling reasons to sell and just liquidate altogether. So there's always pros and cons. And like I said, we invite you to reach out so we can just do the math. We can actually do the math and break down between the two options for you over a screen share or an in-person meeting. So that's always a usual first step. And a lot of times it's very enlightening just to see the entire numbers and the entire financial picture. So if you have any questions, feel free just to write them in the chat. Like I said, we always invite you to reach out. We're going to go on to reason number 2 now, which is your lifestyle and stress level. Ask yourself honestly, do you want to manage a property during retirement? So that's a big thing. We've had customers retire, and sometimes we recommended for them to 1031 their properties if they have a rental, and some of them just want to be done with it, understandably. Like I said, every property is a small business. A solution to think of is hiring a property manager, but that's going to eat into your income and your net income. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to manage a property during retirement? It's a very important question to answer. And then also importantly, just have a business plan of what to do when it comes to this property. How are you going to maintain it? Are you going to be collecting rent? Are you going to be taking phone calls? You really want to be thinking about these things ahead of time. So personally, I'm considering an investment, and I think this investment is just going to be a little bit more cumbersome than what I want to do. So I'm kind of like thinking of these things ahead of time before I go to acquire the asset. So you want to be thinking of these things. There's a great saying that you should begin with the end in mind, and you want to just really have a good, solid understanding of what it takes to manage a property, which we can kind of run through the pros and cons with you on that. How would I handle tenant issues and repairs? That just comes to taking phone calls. What if something breaks? You want to have a good amount of people in your Rolodex, handymen, plumbers, electricians, things of that nature. It's very easy these days with the internet to get in touch with people and find someone reliable. And then there's multiple names you could just kind of go through. We have referrals as well for you there. And then the last thing is, would keeping the home create peace of mind or ongoing stress? Sometimes it's hard for us to let go of our assets, but sometimes it's for the best. We could do a liquidation analysis and give also a rental analysis so you can compare apples to apples. But sometimes, even if you are making money on the asset, sometimes it may not be worth the stress and the lifestyle. We're working with someone that was moving from New York to Florida, and the house was having a little bit of trouble selling. And then he kind of thought of the idea of keeping the house, which really wouldn't be feasible just coming from Florida and just planning his whole entire relocation. It's going to be tougher just to go back and forth from Florida to New York for whatever reason. So eventually the house did sell, luckily, and he really left that whole chapter behind him. But you can imagine the stress and the lifestyle. You really want to be enjoying your retirement, focusing on yourself. You can imagine what a burden that would have been just hanging on to that property. Now, sometimes it could work in certain situations if you have the right systems, the right management setup, or if you want a little bit of flexibility there. But a lot of times, what we find, it just makes sense to sell and liquidate. But it really depends on the situation in a lot of cases. Now, this is a perfect lead in to our last point: is consider your long-term plans and flexibility. So, will you want to relocate again later? Sometimes people hold on to condos we have, like in the Jersey City, Hoboken area, because eventually they may want their kids to have them, or they may want to relocate back to these areas once they sell their house and downsize. So, these are kind of fun things to think about. A lot of these assets are very versatile in nature. So, if you can hang on while they're cash flowing, if they're not eating into your bottom line too much, they're usually worthwhile assets to have. New Jersey is a very strong market to hold real estate in. There's a ton of demand here. Could health or mobility needs a change? Health or mobility issues. You might want to think about those too, especially if you have a single level house that you want to hold on to. Maybe you want to relocate elsewhere. Maybe you're moving out of state, but maybe you want to just keep the house if it's a single level house, especially just to come back and be closer to family and friends, or have a house to stay at. Third point is, do you want to leave a property to family? Now, this is a fun and exciting one. We were speaking to someone that kind of was like a little bit stressed about this. And, she said, once I pass away, what's going to happen to the house? Who's going to take care of it? But we were encouraging her that, you can liquidate the house, and then it could be a huge bonus for your family members that they didn't expect, that they could sell the house and enjoy the proceeds to that. Some people want to leave properties to family members that are very useful to them, like maybe a Hudson County condo, or a condo by the beach, or a shore house by the beach for those to enjoy. So these are important things to consider when it comes to hanging on or selling the property. Would managing a rental become harder over time? Sometimes it does, but sometimes you can have the right systems in place where it just kind of levels out. And if you can afford to hang on financially, and if you could put the right systems in place, it makes sense a lot of times to hang on to them rather than selling. So it really just depends on your lifestyle and long-term goals with the asset. A big tip is the best decision is usually the one that supports both your finances and your long-term financial goals. So it really depends on yourself, and it really depends on what you're looking to do when it comes to all this. These are just some ideas, and we are happy to share some more case studies if you want to connect with us. But we do recommend you connect, and we can just reach out and just discuss a plan in general when it comes to kind of like relocating, and it comes to whether you're relocating, whether you're selling your house or renting your property. It really depends on your story, your individual goals, your lifestyle needs, and these are good questions and good things to think about. And one of the best tips we can give you is think about it on paper. It's going to drive you crazy if it's just all in your head. So grab a piece of paper. A yellow pad is very useful. If you're a little bit more tech savvy, if you could type faster than you write, like I can, a blank Word document or a spreadsheet with the pros and cons. These things will get the ideas out of your head, and you can really start planning ahead and think about what you want to do with your assets. So we invite you to reach out. Feel free to send us an email at over55nj@gmail.com. You can always text us as well, send us a direct message. We're always happy to be here for you. We love discussing game plans with you. We had a customer reach out this week by referral who was actually thinking about renting their property during the off season, believe it or not. So we're coming up with a plan where the customer can use their property during the summer season. Beautiful condo, right by the beach, but then actually make money during the off season. So it's not sitting there and just burning overhead. So there's a number of different plans when it comes to the assets. Some that you probably haven't thought of. This is why it's always great to reach out ahead of time. We have a saying, great real estate plan is done in advance, and we can start making the best plan for your asset ahead of time. So thanks so much for watching. As always, we're always grateful and honored for you to watch it. The video will be recorded. If you missed it, feel free. We can also send you the notes if you're interested. Send us a direct message to receive those. And we'll see you again on the next video. Just let us know if you have any questions. We're always here for you. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.